How much money would you have made on your 1 acre plus home if you'd have moved there 5 years ago or 10 years ago? Is there somewhere you could have moved that would have made you even more money? Well, I'm going to show you exactly where you could have moved to maximize your equity. Now, is that going to be the case for the next 5 years or the next 10 years? Maybe, maybe not. Let's jump in and see. So we're going to start with the last 5 years. And I think you're going to be a little surprised by what happens here. I'm Stuart Sutton at 1 Acre Plus Homes. We do specialize in homes on an acre or more, probably like yours. There are some nuances and some factors and some issues with these type of properties that typical real estate agents aren't usually familiar with. But this is our specialty. So we know the ins and outs of all those factors that aren't common to typical subdivision properties. So let's take a look at the 5 biggest markets: Georgetown, Liberty Hill, Leander, Dripping Springs, and Bastrop. Now, Round Rock is kind of a distant second as far as big markets and then small markets with homes on an acre or more, but it's been around so long and has some very well-known and well-respected neighborhoods with homes on an acre or more, so I went ahead and included it. I actually didn't really expect what I saw here. So Dripping Springs led the pack with a 70% increase in average home price over the last 5 years. Georgetown and Liberty Hill were next, very close, neck and neck, 63% and 62%. Let's put this kind of in perspective. If you'd have bought a house in Dripping Springs 5 years ago for $500,000, it would have been worth today $850,000. That's a 70% increase in average home value. Now, that doesn't mean that every single home is going to follow that. If you buy a home and let it go and don't take care of it, won't be as much. If you buy a home and you improve it and keep it beautifully, may appreciate more. But these are the averages across the board. Not bad at all for Georgetown and Liberty Hill. Leander and Bastrop too, not bad, pushing that 60% mark. And Round Rock tended to lag. And I know why. The 1 Acre Plus homes in Round Rock really increased in value over the previous time, and that kind of caught up with Round Rock because it was very expensive to buy a home on an acre or more in Round Rock comparatively. So I think that caught up with them over the last 5 years. But let me share something about this 5-year change. This 5-year change includes that huge run-up in values. So from about November of 2020 through 21, and then through half of 2022, we saw a dramatic increase in home values. Some homes increased by 50, 60, 70, 80. I even saw some homes double during that very short time period. So that run-up in values took place. And then the summer of 22, the correction started, and prices have been slipping ever since. But what you need to be aware of is that you got very good appreciation during that time period. So instead of 62% over the last 5 years, if we hadn't seen that run up in values, we'd be talking very different numbers. I spoke with someone recently whose home was worth around $800,000. They were disappointed. They wanted closer to $9 million. But I told them if it wasn't for that 2021, 22 run up in values, we wouldn't be talking 800,000. We'd be talking 650. So there's a lot of equity was thrown into your pocket because of that run up in values. Even though we've been decreasing for 4 years straight, you still have a big gain in equity from that 18 to 20 month period when values went so high. I hope that makes sense. Values went up and they've been slipping down ever since, but you still maintained a big edge over where you would have been. I hope that makes sense. So let's look at the 10-year mark. Let's look at 10 years. So 10 years, not quite double, but in 10 years, if you bought a home in Georgetown, you would have gotten close to doubling. And some people certainly did. There's no doubt about that. Georgetown saw 95.5. However, Liberty Hill and Dripping Springs both saw over 100. Dripping Springs at 106% and Liberty Hill at 125%. Now, remember when I said Liberty Hill got discovered? They got discovered during the 5-year period between 2016 and 2021. And those prices really started moving up. You can see there's hardly any difference in Liberty Hill, in Georgetown in the last 5 years. But the prior 5 years, when you include it, making it a 10-year run, it went well above Georgetown at 125%. That's because at that time, you could get a home in Liberty Hill for a much better price than the same type of home in Georgetown. Now, it's not too different. So, Leander at 93, Bastrop at 92, not bad at all. But Georgetown's still in the top 3. Just like it was here, it's in the top 3. It's in the top 3. So here you have Georgetown, Liberty Hill, and Dripping Springs. Here you have Georgetown, Liberty Hill, and Dripping Springs as the top 3, with Leander, Bastrop, and Round Rock following up. Now, you can see that Round Rock had the lowest 10-year change, but it's also the smallest market. There aren't as many homes available on an acre or more. In any given year, you'll see a fraction of the number of homes sold on an acre or more as you will in the other markets. But you can see everything else is 90 or above over 10 years. So you would have done really well had you bought a home on an acre or more in any of these areas, except Round Rock, over the last 10 years. Now, I said there might be something that would make you reconsider Dripping Springs, even though the equity buildup was more, and that's the average price, $1,070,000, 106,962. So the price for an average home on an acre or more in Dripping Springs is well over $1 million. So you can see that you're nearly $200,000 above Georgetown for the same type of house, and way over about $250,000 above Liberty Hill. So Dripping Springs is the highest average price. Leander is next at over $1 million. Now, I will tell you that one of the reasons the Leander's average price for a home on an acre or more is over $1 million is simply Grand Mesa. It's one of the premier 1 acre plus luxury communities in Central Texas, and it's located in Leander. But then you've got Georgetown. So Georgetown keeps making that top 3, $878,000 for average price. Liberty Hill not too far behind at $827,000. Bastrop and Round Rock bring up the rear. You can get the most house for your money, the biggest bang for your buck in Bastrop. And Bastrop's doing well. A lot of things going on in Bastrop. And Round Rock at about $675,000. Now, these are not small prices by any means. There's no doubt about that. $878,000 is an average. That's considerably higher than the average price for a typical subdivision home in Georgetown, which is a little over $500,000. And in every other community, you see the same thing. Homes on an acre or more are more expensive than homes in typical subdivisions. But there are many unique factors and nuances for homes on an acre or more, and that's why we highly encourage you to consider a specialist when you're buying or selling a home on an acre or more. So I'm going to throw another video up here for you about buying a home on an acre or more. It's not only more expensive in price, it's more expensive in related costs, and we'll explain that on this video. And there are some maintenance costs you want to be sure that you're aware of before you move into that 1 acre plus real estate market. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you get to watch this one, and it's helpful as well. I'm Stuart Sutton. Call, text anytime. I always return my texts and calls personally. And remember, it's your choice, so make it a powerful day.